Hello and welcome to J Rock's Babylon. Tonight I'm going to do something really special, and this is my salute to Tom Collier and Firerock Music Group. Now, Tom Collier and I have a bit of as Tom recently said in episode one of the new show Firerock Talk. Me and him go way back, and we have a bit of a long relationship. Now, I thought it'd be fun to kind of look back on the history me and Tom have had, and talk really about what a great guy I think Tom is. I guess the relationship goes back about maybe 4 or 5 years now, where I chance when I was the face and voice of Categories for 17 years. Over the course of the last, like I said, 4 or 5 years, I had a chance to interview Tom about 2 or 3 times before that, just talking about his band Held Hostage. And from the very first time I interviewed Tom, he came across as a very nice, friendly, like down to earth guy. And I got to be honest, the first time I had met Tom, or when I'd interviewed him, I should say, I never met him in person. I hadn't even, talked to him over the phone or anything before the interview. I think the very first time I interviewed Tom was indeed over the phone. And then, after that, I interviewed him a couple times, doing a Zoom call. In fact, I think the very first time I interviewed Tom over Zoom I think it was 2023 when Categories launched Categories TV. And that was an idea I had to kind of move a site that I was working for, at the time, and to kind of to take it to the next level and start doing these video interviews. Because at the time, it was the latest thing. The video interviews were very popular. Never done it, so I was very excited to jump into that, and take it to the next level, so to speak. And I remember the first time I did a Zoom interview with Tom, and he did it from his house, and again, just very friendly, down to earth, easy to talk to, and then, a while down the line, maybe about a year or so later, when it came time to the Joe Lawson, who was my co-host on the show, the This Is Metal show. Now, I've told this story before. The This Is Metal show started out very much as a radio podcast type of show where you didn't see us, but you heard us. We talked about, it started out a show where we were just two guys talking about all the metal bands we loved. And the idea originally, when it was a radio podcast, was to, again, highlight different metal bands. And each time we do a show, we try to do one new episode, every week. And then eventually got to the point where Joe Lawson could no longer do a show, and I was in need of a co-host. And so we talked about, before Joe left, he did about 8 episodes. And we really kind of decided, okay, it's time to take the This Is Metal show to the next level. But more than just being a podcast type of show with two guys talking about all the metal bands they love. Joe and I had always wanted to, have a show where we could have guests come on to interview. Well, of course, so like we did 8 of these Zoom type of episodes with Joe Lawson before he made the decision that he could no longer do a show. So then the search for a new host comes up. Now I've revealed this kind of a couple times in the past. Initially, I had 3 people in mind who I think would be perfect for to be the new co-host on This Is Metal. Now I shared before Sean Peck from Death Dealer, the 3 Tremors, Cage. I thought, he's really one of these. When you think of metal, Sean Peck's a great metal vocalist. He's a guy you really think he's got a real metal image. So I thought maybe he'd want to do it. I'd interviewed Sean also several times over the years, but Sean was very busy and he just couldn't come in doing a show. Now I'm not going to reveal who the third person was because I've never put that out there, and I don't think I should, only because that person might be disappointed. Like, hey, why didn't you ask me? So we'll kind of keep that part of the story a mystery. So at this point, I then reached out to Tom because he was next on my list, as they say, and reaching out to Tom Collier this is where this is where my salute to Tom Collier starts, because it was this point in time when I reached out to Tom about being the new co-host on the This Is Metal show that man, I had no idea if he would accept the offer to do it or not. But I was so happy that when I reached out to Tom, he did not hesitate for a minute. Right away, he told me, you know what? I would love to do something like that. He goes, yeah, let's do it, man. And I tell you, from that point on, still at this point, even once Tom agreed to come on as a new co-host for the This Is Metal show, at that point, we still didn't even have a logo for the show after doing it for so many years. But eventually we got a logo, and that's another thing that really made the show kind of take off. I mean, we're finally kind of getting into the branding of the show, and the show, once Tom came on, it really went off to the next stratosphere, if you will. And I got to tell you guys, I've shared this part of the story several times. At the time when I asked Tom to be the new co-host of the This Is Metal was for no other reason than because I thought he had a great personality. He seemed like a down-to-earth guy. Seemed like we'd have a good chemistry. I never been more right about something in my life, I got to tell you. Because again, at this point when I've asked Tom, I have no idea at the time when he accepts the offer to become the new co-host of the This Is Metal. I had no idea that he was just, had launched Firerock Music Group, which is a great independent record label. They've got a lot of great bands on their label, but Tom is I find out, is the president of this record company that is just launching at the same time that he's coming on board to do the This Is Metal show. Now, once Tom comes on board, the show just kind of takes off, like I said, and it became even bigger than we'd ever dreamed it would. Tom would go on to host a show with me for 2 years. It was 2 of the funnest years of my life ever doing anything. And the show, after 2 years, sadly came to an end, not because we wanted it to. Now, first of all, things were happening behind the scenes that kind of were just kind of not in our control. Now, Tom did, after 2 years of hosting the show, because Firerock got so big, so busy with that. Plus, I gotta share with you guys. As you know, Tom is also in the band Held Hostage. He's been fronting Held Hostage. He's been the sole original member of that band. But for the last 40 years, Tom has been very successful with his band Held Hostage. And here's the thing. Now, Held Hostage is indeed one of the artists on Firerock, but let me tell you, Tom spends just as much time signing other acts to the label, and it's not just about him only putting his own band Held Hostage up in the front and promoting them the most. No, Tom shares in the glory. I mean, he does promote Held Hostage, obviously, because who else could promote his band better than him, right? I mean, he's been doing it for 40 years. Tom is a great songwriter. And one thing I got to share that I really love about Tom is he's a guy that he, as a guitar player, a songwriter, and sometimes, Tom, even when they do a live show with Held Hostage, from time to time, he's had to get up there and sing lead. I know singing lead's not his favorite thing to do, but he can do it. And Tom has shared with me, like I said, Held Hostage has been going strong for 40 years. And then he told me, Jason, I cannot thank you enough for asking me to, when you asked me to become the new co-host of the This Is Metal show, I never thought I'd enjoy doing something so much, as hosting a show. It was a ton of fun. Now, it did, after 2 years, it got to a point where, besides Held Hostage and Firerock Music Group, I don't know if you guys know, but Tom also does a ton of real estate on the side. And so he's a very busy guy. And it got to the point where, one day I wake up and I get an email to Tom, once again, thanking me for having given him this opportunity and having done the show with him for the last 2 years. But he explained in the email basically that between his real estate and Held Hostage and the record company, just didn't have the time to commit to doing a show like This Is Metal. Um, okay, and we understood. Also, like I said, not really getting into the nitty gritty too much. There were other things going on behind the scenes um, that were kind of out of our control. Tom had given us our blessing. Now, when I say us, again, initially when there was a need for a new co-host on This Is Metal, it was me that reached out to Tom. Again, I had no idea at the time that he's a president of a record company. We found that out later. And did we use that to our benefit? You bet we did. Because through Tom's connection with some of these other musicians that we had on the show, it helped us to get some of them to come on the show. We got Firerock music group artist on the show. And I thought, hey, Tom, sure, we can book some of your artists, from the label, come on the show. Why not? But you think Tom would stop there and say, well, you know what? If I'm going to come on board, we're going to have nothing but Firerock artists. No. He said, yeah, we can definitely promote some of the artists on Firerock, but I want to reach out to anybody who wants to come on. So he said it's all about diversity as far as not just having. We don't want to just highlight the artists on Firerock. We do that, but we also reach out to other artists, and that has always kind of been our policy before. Well, like I said, each time we did a new episode, the numbers were going pretty viral. We started noticing a lot of the same people would comment on each new episode we post, and we thank those people for their continued support. Don't think we didn't notice, because we did, and eventually when before we learned Tom was no longer going to be able to do the show, the power of it be where I will say this, like I said, This Is Metal is a show that I developed originally when I was working for Chaotic Riffs TV. There was somebody else that actually owned the site, and I worked with this person. I'm not going to name names. If you want to know who is the owner of Chaotic Riffs, you can research that. But I will say for 16 of those 17 years that I was connected with that site, it was fun. It was something I was very proud of. Unfortunately, like many things in life, when something like a show like This Is Metal starts to become successful, people start getting ideas of, okay, this is successful now, going to need you to sign a contract. And if you don't wear the This Is Metal t-shirt in every episode, I can fire you for that. Again, this happened, the last year. So about, the show kind of came to an end, This Is Metal, this last August. And at that point, because of these things that were going on behind the scenes, it wasn't fun for me anymore to be associated with categories. I walked away from that. Again, I told the person the power of a B, because after 17 years, he started referring me to as an independent contractor. He basically wanted me to sign, after signing one contract, wanted me to sign another one telling me that, hey, if you don't sign a new contract, sign away your rights to the show, you're fired. So this, after Tom left, these things were going on behind the scenes. And I don't know that I would have wanted to stay and continue to do a show without Tom. I might have tried it. Tom had given us his blessing. Hey guys, go. I can no longer do a show. Giving you my blessing to carry on with This Is Metal. And go out there and find a new host. Well, the person I will say the power to be. After he fired me, he basically wanted to kill the show, and that's fine. That's fine. So I bring this all up only to kind of let you know that the This Is Metal show is no more. But the last 2 years with Tom, it was really a blast, and it became really something special. And so immediately after all this, I decided, well, I'm not going to walk away and all of a sudden just quit doing these interviews that I love doing. And so that is why I launched my own channel, J Rock's Babylon, and we'll talk about that at another time specifically, because today I'm doing this to pay tribute to my good friend Tom Collier and his label Firerock music group. Now Firerock's got some great artists. Just off the top of my head, Nick Z Marino, who's also the lead singer and keyboard player from Ink Phase solo band. He's got his own NZM band, Nick Z Marino, by the way. I've interviewed Nick probably about 3 or 4 times. A couple times we had Nick come on the This Is Metal show. I recently interviewed him for J Rock's Babylon, and that interview's already gone up, a couple of weeks back, maybe about a month ago, actually. And when I first launched J Rock's Babylon, I told Tom about it. He says, "Good for you, man," because hey, how would you like to interview Nick Z Marino again for your new show? How would you like to interview the singer from the Spider Rockets? And that was a real fun interview that I did for J Rock's Babylon recently, because the singer Helena, she came on and she says, I hope you don't mind, but I got my dog with me. He's kind of sick and he doesn't really like to be alone. I told her, you know what, Helena, I'm a dog lover myself. Have your dog become part of the interview. And the dog was part of the interview. It was a real fun interview. And so again, me and Tom have remained friends. And after he'd sent that email saying that he could no longer do This Is Metal show because he was so busy with so many other things, he reached out to me and said, Jason, I miss doing the show with you. He says, one of the things I want to do is kind of, since This Is Metal is no longer kind of happening, I would like to have a show on Firerock, where we'll put it up on the YouTube channel like we did with the This Is Metal show. And so those episodes me and Tom did of the This Is Metal show, you can still find on the Firerock YouTube page. And the Firerock YouTube page, the funny thing is, once we moved This Is Metal over to Firerock YouTube page, more and more people even started to check out the show. And even though This Is Metal is now a thing of the past, we're still very proud of it. So if you wanted to go check out those episodes on the Firerock YouTube page, you can. But also, recently, which just posted today, Tom had, told me, I miss doing a show, Jason. He goes, I think, he says, so he decided he's launched this new show kind of to take the place right where we left off. This Is Metal. The new show is called Firerock Talk. Now, I gotta be real clear here. Firerock Talk is not a show that Tom and I alone are doing together. It is, Tom is the host of a show, Firerock Talk. Episode 1 has gone up just today. Now, when we shot episode 1, Tom told me, now Jason, he goes, I'd like to do a practice session, today on Zoom before we actually have the guest come on and do the interview. So what we did, just for kicks and just for fun, we did like a preview episode. And we weren't initially even planning to do any type of preview episode, but I told Tom, hey, let's just do a practice session. Let's tape it, see how it goes. And so the preview episode that ended up going up was shot the same day as episode 1, like 2 hours before. And it was just Tom basically interviewing me, talking very much like what I'm talking about now, the history him and I had together. And that's about like a 25, 30-minute episode maybe. And we had no idea. Keep in mind that it was just me and Tom talking back and forth. We did not have a guest from a preview episode. And after that was shot, I told Tom, that was a pretty good episode. I think you should put that up to kind of get people excited about the new show. Let them know about the new show. Let's give them a little taste. That was a great little preview type of thing we just did. Let's put it up. He put it up, and then originally the plan was, okay, Jason, we will put up the preview episode that you and I did today, and then we're going to put up episode 1 the following Tuesday, which would have been, last week. And they said, you know what? The little preview clip, the preview episode we did, Jason, the numbers it's going continue to go viral, and it's just going crazy. He goes, I think we're going to keep that up for maybe another week, and then so just today, um, episode one with our very first guest, Raquel Figio, who's a great publicist that works with Tom at the Firerock label. She was our guest, and that went up, and it's people are checking it out. Now, what I got to tell you, like I said, this is Tom's show, and while I am part of the Firerock Talk family, I got to be real specific here. It is Tom's show, and I am one of five alternating co-hosts that Tom is going to have. Okay, one of the other co-hosts on the show is Michael Wilkerson, who is also an A&R person at the label Firerock Music Group. Mike is also one of the alternating co-hosts, and they did episode 2 together, which I believe is going to premiere next Tuesday. One of their guests was Carl Kennedy, and so I'm real excited because the shows that we've put up so far for Firerock Talk, people are checking it out and they're loving it. It seems like we haven't skipped a beat. Like I said, to me, it's an honor to be still involved doing something with Tom. I'm so honored that I'm one of the 5 alternating, co-hosts, and there's no ego doing a show like this. Like I told Tom, I think it's great to have 5 alternating co-hosts because it'll keep it fresh for you, Tom. It'll keep it fresh for the audience. It's not going to be a carbon copy of what we did on This Is Metal. We're very proud of what we accomplished, but this is something new. And by having different co-hosts come on, besides keeping it fresh, I think each of the different co-hosts will bring a different influence into the episode that they do. It'll be just really something fun, I think. And I'm looking forward because I know I'm one of the alternating hosts. I know Michael Wilkerson is. I can't wait to see who the other 3 co-hosts are going to be. And Tom hasn't revealed that to me, so I'm looking forward to seeing that big reveal, who it is. Another thing I got to thank Tom for that, last, year ago, January, Tom came to me and offered me, hey, Jason, how would you like, he goes, how would you like to be an A&R guy also, like Mike, at Firerock? He goes, basically, if you have any bands you want to bring to the label, you can't just sign them to the label, but talk to me about it, and we'll see if there's a potential to bring these artists. Now, so far we're working with a couple of bands, but the one that I signed so far was the band Hereafter. Now I've known guitarist Mick Michaels for several years, and so he told me he had this other band he was working on, Hereafter, and that they were looking to get an EP out, and so that came out digitally on Firerock just this last July, and we had them come on one of the final episodes of This Is Metal. Mick Michaels did to promote Hereafter, and then just yesterday, in regards to Hereafter, we announced a contest to name Hereafter's band mascot. They got this cool looking mascot, and also recently I had Mick and the singer Chris from Hereafter come on J-Rock's Babylon. And I told him, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea if you guys had some kind of contest to have somebody name your mascot? They said, yeah, that'd be pretty neat. So we got that idea from interviewing the guys and seeing how cool the mascot was. So I can't wait to see how the contest turns out. So as you can see, I've been having a truckload of fun with Tom Collier for the last several years. I just wanted to say, Tom, thanks for everything. It's been a ball. I can't wait to see, where we are 1 year from now. And it's very interesting because, this last August was the end of an era. Not only, because Tom told us that he was walking away from This Is Metal just because he couldn't commit to doing it. He's so damn busy. Believe me, I understand. And Tom's in New York, and I'm in beautiful Long Beach, California. Basically Los Angeles, folks, but we're on the 2 opposite coasts. But we Tom's like, I just trust him so much. He's been such a great friend to me. I I can't stress that enough. And every chance me and Tom get my work schedule personally, my daily my day job, my work schedule really kind of it's gotten busy all of a sudden. And not that I wasn't working, but just some things happen, and now I'm working like 2 extra hours a day. But that's great. I'm busy. I'm still doing J Rock's Babylon and all these other projects that I've been talking about tonight. And I still make Tom and I still make a point, even though we don't live down the street, practically try to talk to each other 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes more. And Tom will even, me and Tom are very much alike in that, like I mean, him and I get up early. We don't like to sleep all day. We got things to do. On a Saturday, Tom might call me like at 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning where I am, but that's all right because he knows I'm up and I know he's up, and he tells me, oh, hey, Jason, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna ready to go meet these people that want to buy a house and stuff, do this real estate thing. And then he tells me, working on this other stuff for of a label, and let's talk about who we're gonna come interview next, or hey, I got this. And then another thing I should tell you guys, Firerock is also getting into the book business now. In the next week or so, Tom's giving me this guy to interview with putting out a book. So that's going to be a little different. The Firerock is also getting into the movie business and TV business, and all these things will be coming out. It's been a great ride, Tom. Thanks so much, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Take care. This has been my salute to Tom Collier and Firerock Music Group. Take care, guys. Bye for now. Mm-hmm.